So without further ado, I want to introduce Sarah and Megan from REI Kash. Y'all want to welcome them?
Thank you, Chris. That was beautiful. So I'm Megan. Thank you for coming today. That was the best introduction ever. Let you take it over.
It really was. Thank you, Chris.
Sure.
So, again, I'm Sarah, and this is Megan, and we are with REI Kash. Let's see here. We're going to do that. Okay, so why REI Kash? So, as Chris mentioned, I was wholesaling real estate, wholesaling land, flipping land, just like you guys were. Where did it start before that, though? So, in 2020, I found myself on the brink of a divorce, right? I was very, at the very beginning of it, and I knew that I needed to make more money, right? I have 3 little kids, trying to figure out how I'm going to financially be able to support them by myself. I don't know how many of you guys are parents in here.
Woo woo!
So, you guys know how hard it was in 2020 when everything was shut down. You had your kids home with you. I'm trying to work from home. I'm working like over 60 hours a week at this point because I'm just trying to make the ends meet. I'm just trying to make enough so that I can put food on my kids' table, right? And like you said, I didn't like the power that somebody else had to be able to just take that away from me should they choose. And things happen when we're parents, right? Your kids get sick, you have to call out of work, right? We don't want to be shaking in our boots every time we got to call out of work to take care of our kids, to make sure that I can also still make a paycheck so that I can also put food on the table. So in going through that struggle, I came across people who sold courses online, like wholesaling land, and I invested in a course and I was able to, long story short, create a business wholesaling land, right? In doing that, I made my first deal, which was $9,000. You guys heard numbers all day, okay? So my first deal was $9,000. It was 2 weeks after I started, so that was another one that kind of happened pretty quick for me. But in closing one deal, I was like, cool. That was one deal. How do I close 10 of those a month? Like, how do I do this bigger? Because one $9,000 check only carries you so long with 3 kids. So, I mean, in general. And now, one $9,000 check will maybe make you through the grocery store. But, so, you know, I needed to make more. I needed to make more of that kind of money, right? And as easy, and I say easy because I was a nurse. So like working as a nurse on the computer, dealing with doctors and patients, going to texting sellers was so much more easy. Being consistent was easy, right? So I was like, this is where I need to be. So how do I get there, right? So I met Megan. I looked for somebody that knew systems, right? Because when I started real estate, everyone told me in order for your business to be successful, you have to have systems. So I'm like, what is the system? What does that mean? What's system? And they're like, you know, like this happens and then this. I'm like, okay, so routine. They're like, no, it's different. I'm like, okay, what is systems? And then I met Megan and she's like, yeah, I deal with the operational end of business. And I'm like, what is that? What is operations? What is systems? What are these things?
To put this in perspective, Sarah had just gotten her first computer.
To put it in perspective, okay. This is like, I was on Facebook, I still have the post where I was like, hey guys, clean me out my house. Do I need to keep the deed and the title to my house or can I throw one away? Okay.
I just want to say it's good that you are not afraid to ask those questions because I think a lot of us really don't know stuff and we just be like, oh, okay, and let them keep going about whatever and we really don't know.
Right,
so
right.
it's good to ask. No question is a dumb question, but I think we like, yeah, should I ask this? Is it a good question or not? It's like just ask the question.
And shifting my mindset is what changed that because when I became divorced, right, and like this, I'm gonna get personal for a quick second. It's like everybody sees you naked. That's what it feels like, right? Because now you're divorced, you're like, you have these 3 kids, everyone's like watching, like, what is she gonna do next? Is she gonna fail? Is she gonna be a hoe? Like, what's next? Everybody's eyes are on you. And so for me, that was very intimidating. And then on top of that, now I'm trying to like learn new things. So like, you have to learn like to ask those questions. You gotta have that mindset shift. So in meeting Megan and then learning what systems is, well, in meeting Megan, I took her course, right? She had it wasn't a 5-day challenge, it was like a 2 month.
Yeah, it was like 2 months at the time.
Okay, course, right? And I asked all the questions.
Every
I did
question.
all the research. She should have charged me way more for that information. And from there, I became obsessed, right? So like the CRM that I was using, I'm on the phone with like their developer. Like, hey, I need your system to do this. How are you gonna make it do that? And they're like, well, that's not something we've been agreed to yet. Like, but we'll put it on the list. Thanks for this idea. And I'm calling another CRM. I'm like, hey, talking to the salesperson. And he's like, I think you need to talk to the owner. I'm like, hey, I need your system to do this. This is what we're looking for, right? Megan's looking for systems. I'm like, all of these systems, as I'm learning about them, I'm like, they're not doing what I need them to do, right? So I'm like, taking this one and I'm putting it in place here, and it's working. And then I'm taking this one and putting it in place here, and it's working. And I'm taking this one and putting it in place here, and it's working. But now I'm paying for 6 or 7 different softwares, right? So as a single mom, right, I'm extremely budget friendly at this point. I mean, in general, still. But I'm very budget friendly because I'm already working 60 hours a week just to make the ends meet. Now I'm trying to start another business, and the ends were already barely meeting, but now I have to invest in these things so that I can get to the next step, right? So once we realized that there wasn't a system out there for us, right, we decided, okay, we have 2 options at this point. We could lower our expectations because me and Megan, one thing we have is audacity. Okay? We are going to walk around the world with all of the audacity and all the expectation, right? Because we know what we put out and we know what we give the world, and we just expect it back, right? So we could lower our expectations and just continue to learn all the things about all the softwares and continue to implement. And as our brains grow and we want to, do more in real estate, we want to do more in business, we could keep finding softwares that we're able to put in place. We could keep giving people ideas to make more money on their softwares, or
It's really what
we can make our own. So we decided, we partnered together and decided we were going to build out this system. And this was like I want to say within like 6 months of meeting each other, right? So like I'm still not great with the software stuff at this point. I'm still doing everything on my whiteboard. And I buy this huge whiteboard. You can see my son here. He's probably like 1 or 2. And I made this huge whiteboard, and I'm like, okay, I need to break down every single step in real estate so I can see exactly what I need the system to do. Because at this point, I have this software doing this, I have this software doing this, right? So we broke it down, we wrote it out. Megan put it in an actual software to make it pretty because this is not how people normally function. And we created REI Kash, right? Or well,
it was REI piece.
it was REI piece at the time. I had this vision where we stood in front of people and I said, hi, my name is Sarah and this is Megan and we're the beauty behind the beast. And then we came up with Kash, and he's our tiger, and that's his name. So
There's a trademark issue.
yeah,
Okay, well, that's good. We saw them all.
business. So what was important for our CRM to include? Everything, because like I said, me and Megan walk around this world with audacity. So we wanted our system to have everything. And so where do you start when you want something to have everything? With the biggest mental loads. So
Explain what a mental load is.
that's where I'm going next. So, what's the mental load? I'm going to break this down real easy, okay? Let's say you got to get your kid out of the house in the morning, okay? You got to take them to school. Driving them to school is not the part. Like, that's not the mental load. The mental load is getting them up, getting their teeth brushed, getting them dressed, making sure they have lunch, making sure they have snack money, book fare money. Like, that is the mental load. So like, you know what, like, I don't know, there's a lot of men here, so normally I use this excuse for women, but if you say, hey, honey, I'm gonna take the load off you and I'm gonna take little Brandon to school today. Like, that didn't take the load off of anything, right? Because that wasn't the mental load. So when you're in business, somebody could say to you like, hey, don't worry, I'll send that contract out for you. Like, okay, cool, the contract wasn't the mental load. That's an easy fill form, right? Where's the mental load in your business, right? And this was something that Megan taught me. She's like, one of the first things she said to me was, what do you hate? What do you hate doing every day in your business? And I was like, wow, well, everything. I hate it all. But then I took that same concept and I said, what do I hate doing in life? And how can I automate it and delegate it out, right? So like this mindset, this became a mindset. Where is your mental load? Because your mental load weighs down on all of your tasks every day. It weighs down on your productivity. It weighs down on your consistency. So you guys have to find where your mental load is and lighten that, not necessarily the activities that you're doing, right? So that's where we started with cash. Where was the mental load? And something that we learned was that a lot of people don't understand systems, like me, and they're afraid to ask questions because they don't want to seem dumb. So we started with the mental load. Triggers and automations, right? This one is huge, and I don't think many people realize how much of a mental load having triggers and automations in place takes out of your business. So let's talk about one example, right? And it's going to be wrong number. So since all of you guys are currently wholesaling, how many of you guys have gotten a text back that says wrong number? Okay, yeah, everybody should be raising their hand. So this is what happens. First, you have to see the message, right? That says wrong number. Then you got to figure out what you're going to say back to them, right? Then you got to write it. Then you got to remove them from the campaigns, right? Because you don't want somebody with the wrong number to get sent a message. Then maybe you want to respond to them. You could say, okay, or you could say, oh, I'm so sorry. Do you happen to have any property for sale? Right? So now you're responding to them as well. And then you can put them in a campaign to follow up in a year, because maybe it's still the wrong number, but maybe also in a year they'll have property that they want to sell. Or maybe a 2-year campaign, who knows? But to be able to reach out to them again. So this is the mental load. Because how many times do you do this every time you send out a campaign? So what does an automation do and what does a trigger do? A trigger gives you a button that you push or a word that you enter, and it does it all for you, so that you don't have to worry about that mental load. You don't have to think about, okay, did I send that message? Should I send that message? I don't want it to, when you're training somebody and you're training your team, that's one less thing you have to train. You got to train them how to teach a button. That's it. You don't have to train them to say this back and to do all of these other things, right? So that's why automations and triggers are so important. Now you can do this with all kinds of things. So let's say you put in an automation, we'll talk about it. I've been trying to get ahead of myself, y'all. Okay, so quick replies, automations and quick replies. So the most important part is that these are already built into the system for you, right? How do you set up a trigger? How do you set up an automation? How do you set up a pipeline? You don't have to worry about those things. Another mental load that we took off. Because we don't want you guys to have to worry about that. You guys need to use your brains to be creative. You guys need to use your brains to think about, what area am I moving to next? Do I need to hire somebody else on my team? Like, those are the things that you guys should be worrying about, while the software worries about everything else for you guys. So, quick replies, this is something that we put in place because a lot of the times you don't know what to say, or when you're training your team, you want everything to be extremely uniform. So we have these within the system so that you guys already know, you guys can pick from any of these things what to say back to people. The assignment was sent, assignment sent. They're interested, yes or no, are you interested in selling your property? You want to give an offer, if you want to know if they have a price in mind. These are all words that you no longer have to think about. Oh, let me think about this to write it, to send it, or let me train on this, or let me type up this document and let me save it somewhere. It's already in the system for you. Your automations for your campaigns to be able to go out with your messages there. It's already in the system for you.
I'm going to elaborate on these automations. So an automation, and we're getting this question a lot right now, this is why I want to share it. So when we initially started REI Kash, what was happening in a lot of software, you would send one text message, and then in a couple of days you'd have to go remember to go click that contact to send another text message. So what's different and what we set up for you, so this is our normal, it's called Start Here campaign inside your REI Kash account. This This first text message will go when you immediately put that list up, schedule the text messages to go out. This first message will go, and 2 days later, you don't have to think about it. There's no mental load that you're holding on to. The next text message will go out if they didn't respond. If they responded, you're already dealing with them somewhere else. In 2 more days, they'll get another text message. This is something you don't think about at all. We had somebody who recently just had a personal matter, but she was one of our first REI Kash clients, and she had annual campaigns set up because that's what we have built in your campaigns. And she was telling me that she had messages still going out when she hasn't been active in over 6 months because of the automations that were set up inside of her Kash account. So that is the beauty of automation. Like, you don't have to think about it. When you're thinking about like the doctor's appointment, texting you, reminding you about your doctor's appointment, that's an automation. They're all over in our life. Your reservation reminder, that's an automation. There's not somebody that's remembering to do that. We can't train somebody to do that and trust that they'll actually do it on time every time. So and that is the goal when you're building a real estate business, where an automation can take over for you.
Yep. Okay. Bear with me. Okay. So I want everyone to use your notepad, and I want you to, I'm going to give you guys like 45 seconds. And I want you guys to write down the steps to go to the bathroom. Like going to the bathroom, okay? And that's the only instruction I'm going to give.
Which number? That does matter though.
You can watch it when you
High key, it does matter.
And there's a number, does it have the name here? Sure. And I mean, it depends what you got on too.
All right, so I'm going to have, does anyone want to volunteer to read it out loud? All right. As you read it, I'm going to enact.
Okay.
So go ahead.
Ours was get up,
Okay,
walk to the bathroom,
okay,
turn on the light,
okay,
close the door,
okay.
lift the seat, use the bathroom.
So I just pee on myself?
Well, oh yeah, I forgot. Put down the clothes.
Okay.
Then I put flush. Then I put close the toilet seat. Wash your hands. Turn off the light.
Am I naked?
Oh shit.
Okay.
And then you got the bathroom.
Okay, perfect, thank you. We get a round of applause.
We're walking through the door. We're walking through the door.
Okay, so, do you see how easy it is to miss a step in something you do every single day? Okay? How many times a day do you guys go to the bathroom?
A lot.
That's how easy it is to miss a step when you're explaining something. That's how easy it is to miss a step in your business. And this is why we created pipelines for you guys already done. So, you guys have these within your system already built, already there for you with the steps that are successful to help you guys close your deal. It goes from here to here to here to here. It's in there. You guys can take your little contacts and you can move them easily throughout the pipeline so that you never miss that step. Because there is nothing that will make you more mad than these two things. One, if you forget something and it causes your deal not to close, you're going to be mad as hell. You're going to be so mad. And number two, if you didn't have your automations in place and when you go to reach out to somebody, they say, I already sold it. Those are the two things that are going to make you real mad in your business. You guys can avoid that by having these things in place already.
And you have a leads pipeline, and then that drop down right here. That drop down, you have an acquisitions pipeline, a dispo pipeline, everything that you need to make sure the deal follows through. You just have to log in and look at it every day.
I feel like I need a jingle at this point.
I know. And then from these pipelines, you can set up automations. So let's say you have your lead in your dispo pipeline, right? And you guys are waiting for it to close. How silent do things get when you're waiting for things to close, right? Seller sign, builder sign, everything's over to title, things get quiet for 30 to 60 days, depending how long you close. You guys can have automations in place they're built in there that go out to your seller to say, hey, just wanted to reach out to you, let you know things are going well, let us know if you guys have any questions, to keep that touch throughout the deal before it closes. And as you move it through the pipeline, these messages can go out. Also from the pipeline, you guys can have people in here that you want to put in a cold call list, right? Like, oh, I want to move them to a cold call list. So with a trigger, right, you can put them into a pipeline, and then you can click here and start a call down everybody in your pipeline so that you guys can get your cold calls out faster.
They get added to your multi-line dialer.
Yeah, they'll be added right into your multi-line dialer. So, speaking of the multi-line dialer, right? Because now we have deals, we have automations, we have pipelines, and we were like, okay, what's next is getting people to talk to people faster. Right, so we did that through text messages, we did that through having the campaigns ready to be able to talk, but now we needed something else, right? A phone. So we put in the system a multi-line dialer. You can dial 1, 3, 5, up to 10. We don't recommend 10 unless you have a team. We really don't recommend more than 3 unless you have a team under you. Because cold calling can get crazy, as some of y'all know, especially when you're on the dialer. So, that's our dialer.
So no.
Go ahead.
So inside the dialer, there's also the ability to add triggers.
Oh yeah.
So what happens and where the disconnect happened when we were initially building Sarah's first round of systems was that there was a SMS campaign, there was on one software, there was a cold calling software over here, and nothing was actually connected. So inside of the dialer, you have the ability to add triggers. So if this person didn't answer, I can now choose to send that person a text message or an email. And this is all customized. We go over this a lot on the support calls because this is different per person because it depends on what you upload to the dialer. So having this now in one system, you now get rid of course, the cost of 2 different softwares. You have the cost of one software, and then you have the ability to automate. So if they don't answer, you could put them on Tuesday's cold call list. If they don't answer again, you can choose to send them an email as long as you've uploaded the email. And now those leads are getting hit so much more than what they initially would be if you were just sending one text message. They say the average hits, I don't know what it is in real estate, but in the markets that I'm in, it used to be about 7 hits per client. It is now up to over 1,000. Because of how much social media has changed, how much emails have changed, text messages. You have to think of how much we are getting hit with marketing left and right. Your attention span does not have the same worth that it did 5 years ago. So if you want to be in front of these sellers, you have to be getting in front of them every way possible. So having the automations, the triggers inside of the cold call campaigns makes that possible so that you're on the dialers, but your system is working for you doing other things too. All right, so then you have your organized inboxes. Of course, organization, key. So you have your unread, you can filter by owner if you have different employee accounts. You have your recents, your important if you want to star them. So when we were testing out REI Kash, we would run some of Sarah's campaigns through REI Kash. And what we found is about 150 per hour text messages was a great response rate. We can go through, answer everybody, add the tags, make sure that all the automations are in place, and then we would add stars to the people that we wanted to follow up on. We would get through those in about 30 to 45-ish minutes, the 150 text messages, and then go to the important tab, and now just start calling and hitting those leads while we wait for the next hour of text messages to go out. So this is how we were able to make sure that the inbox was as organized as possible, and we can milk every lead for what it has. Text messages are great, but who here is buying from a text message? Anybody? No?
I have one.
Fashion Nova doesn't count. They're abusive. So any other company besides Fashion Nova is not as crazy in the text messages, and you're not clicking a link to just go buy, right?
Yeah, I think because there's so much scamming out there, people want to hear
Your voice. So if we can star that, go in the important tab and immediately call them while we're waiting for our next round of text messages to go out, we now call hot leads immediately. Okay? Then you have your, of course, SMS. This is what it looks like. This is the automation I was talking about where this first text message went out, 2 days later this text message went out, 2 days later this text message went out, and guess how many times Sarah touched that lead? She just uploaded the list, that was it. Right? So that's what it looks like.
Why do you keep texting me?
Respond the first time, I won't have to text you.
Right.
All right, then you have your virtual phone. This is great. We work with teams in the Philippines. I love the Filipino culture. I love working with VAs in the Philippines. So we need a virtual phone because they're working from their laptops as well as we are. We don't want to have to be stuck to a phone. The whole point that we started wholesaling is to not be stuck behind a desk. You can be on your virtual phone as long as you have Wi-Fi. So then you have the ability to call from different phone numbers. So if you have different phone numbers, click the phone number, choose who you are today, and then you can go ahead and answer that. Driving for dollars, this is for my house people. This is for houses only. Raise your hand if it's for houses only.
Right. Everybody should have it. It's for houses
It's
only.
for houses only.
This is not for land.
Not yet.
Not yet.
So houses, you have the ability to just drag and drop, and you can get all filtered leads right through the software. We're working on trying to get land in there. It's a little bit different, but
A lot different.
yeah, so houses only for, you're able to do that inside of different areas. And that's
Yeah.
an additional cost. So when we first started REI Cash, because you have all your softwares in one, it was a little bit more expensive. And once we started rolling out features not everyone could benefit from, we were able to bring the cost down with our suppliers, and then now we pass that along to you guys.
Oops.
All right. Activity tasks. So as we grow our team, we want to make sure that we are passing things off. So just like the bathroom exercise, how hard it can be to just miss one step on accident, you don't want to pass something off to somebody in the Philippines and then they miss a step and then your deal doesn't go through. That's like the worst case scenario that can happen. So what we have in here is activities and tasks. So I come from the finance world initially, like corporate career, and you have to document everything. Every time you talk to somebody, every time you log into an account, literally anything needs to be documented. You receive a piece of mail, even if it's junk mail, it's documented. So when you call Amex, they're lying to you and they don't have documentation. But so with that, I treat my team and I teach my team and I teach my clients the same thing. Document everything. Document if they're going to their daughter's birthday party and that's why that they can't talk to you right now. Write that down so the next time you call them, you have those notes handy inside of the system so you can say, hey, how was your daughter's birthday party? And now you just built the initial connection with them where they're like, wow, they actually listened to me. Okay? Yeah, that's huge. So you have the ability to make appointments, tasks, deadlines, emails, follow-up notes. Notes are yellow inside of the system. So they kind of look like a text message because they go in order, but they're yellow. And then that way when you're on the phone, they stick out in the conversation where you're like, okay, cool. Like I can do this in a way that makes me personable because being a person is what sells in any industry.
Right.
So that's a big thing. Unlimited users, I like my VAs. I don't like working. And it sounds like a lot of you
We're the
are the same page on that one. We like to have a team in place as you grow. You don't want to be stuck behind a computer forever. We have a team right now running the support tickets. Like I'm not the one doing support tickets. I do go in there and check, but I'm not the one doing support tickets. And so we want you to be able to scale as fast as you want and as smooth as you want. So we don't charge per person. I think that gets really weird, especially when we're talking about notes and documenting everything. If we're getting charged per account, you may get cheap and be like, oh, we can log in the same account. Your VA leaves a note, you don't see it because it's you that wrote the note, a deal falls through. We don't want that. So that's why we have unlimited users. And actually, with the unlimited users, we had this question in yesterday's support call. Somebody asked why they don't have the same campaigns as you or see everything like you. And the reason is because some people choose to keep their VAs out of the loop of their entire business. So we wanted to basically make it where you build their own business inside of yours. But there is a way to just duplicate your account into theirs if you want that. So just so you guys know. We do have some people that don't like sharing everything.
Yeah.
Ringless voicemail. Make sure you're aware of the area that you're in. Ringless voicemail isn't allowed everywhere. So whatever state, city you're in, research the regulations.
Is it allowed in Florida?
I think so. Yeah. So ringless voicemail, you just record the, this is a call recording. This isn't, ringless voicemail looks different.
Yeah.
It's in the campaigns. And so inside the campaign, you just click record on REI Kash, and then you can record the voicemail that you want. There's no recording it, editing it, uploading it. You just click record and stop inside the system, and it's there. And a ringless voicemail is what it sounds like. It doesn't ring your phone, but it sends a voicemail. And then you have call recording. So call recording is optional, and you could just turn this on or off if you want. There's a charge. It's like 0.0013 or something like that for call recording. That's great when you have a team. It's great for when you're learning. You could send your call recording to Sherelle, to Jazz. They could be reviewing this and help you understand how you're not closing these deals. I think it's worth it for the price, personally. So,
Yeah.
You have the option for direct mail. I know you guys use
Yellow.
yellow letters. So we did add like a little integration so that you don't have like 20 windows open on yellow letters, but you do have the ability to set this up inside of your campaigns so that you don't have to think about it. You can set it up a very general one, so it'd be like something like this: we want to buy your home. Not specific, it's just going to have their name on it. And if they make it through a year's worth of campaigns, you could choose to send them a letter if they don't respond. So that is an option in there. The price is $1 per postcard, and then if you want like a letter, it goes up from the postcard. I don't know exactly what it is today. Then surveys. Let's talk about these surveys. People are using these as websites, which is totally cool. We go over it on every Monday and Thursday call. I talk about how to use our surveys as a website because the new regulations are making it where you have to have certain things on your website, and we are not developers. I get it. I'm not a developer. We hire developers. And so when it comes to having a website to get approved with the new regulations, it is possible inside of REI Kash using the surveys. And there's actually a new button on these input blocks that is an A2P button. So we did have the developers add it, so you could just drag and drop, have your consent box that they're looking for, and then we just have to add terms and conditions. Every Monday and Thursday I go over this, and I go over how to put it on, host it on your URL.
Sorry guys, those are my alarms for when I need to pick my kids up. They're gonna keep going off because there's a lot of them. Otherwise I forget. I'm not gonna lie. It's my automation to make sure my kids get picked up on time.
And so connecting it to a URL is going to be the next step. Please come on to the Monday, Thursday calls. I walk you through that. Inside the Facebook group, you can watch a replay. However, it's kind of all over the place because I'm working with people on the replay, so I have to like explain certain things based off where they're at. So come on, join me, I'll help you. What day are we on today? Today's Friday. So this Thursday and Monday.
Monday and Thursday, yeah.
Monday, Thursday, yeah. So this Monday, Thursday, if people were on, they were able to just give me their GoDaddy login, and we just did it together real quick. We can't do that in support. I don't want my support team in your GoDaddy because there's a few text notifications that will happen. So hop on the support call, I'll help you with it, okay?
Yep.
All right, features. You have your lists. So lists are a great way that inside the automations, you have the ability to say, okay, this person got tagged wrong number. They don't have a piece of land right now, but we want to put them in a list, a wrong number list. And maybe when you have a virtual assistant, or I remember when Sarah first got started in the mornings to keep her kids busy, she would have them drive for dollars.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Sure did. If you can play on your iPad, and you can move the little man to jump. You can figure out which is a house and which is a land. So let me teach you. Come sit right here. And I sat them down, and in the mornings they used to go down the streets and they would click properties and they would add to list, add to list.
But it's your child.
Some got to pay for that private school tuition, okay? You're going to drive for dollars, I don't care if you're 5. But they loved it,
So driving for dollars, you could add them to a list so that you can then run a campaign after you review some of those things. Or like we have a cold call list, so after they complete the Start Here campaign, there's an automatic tag that will happen that says cold call, and then they'll get added to your cold call list so that you can actually just go and click your list, cold call inside the dialer. Again, that's like the beauty of having it all in one, is that you do this one action over here, but it's going to remind you, as long as you log in and work the system every day, you'll know that, okay, today I cold call, today I do this. That's it, you just have to work it.
Yeah, and so on that note, I want to add into, like, that's where I got my business to. I was able to make 6 figures a month wholesaling and only working like 3 to 4 hours a week, because I was able to build a system and build a team so that I didn't have to go and work every day. And then I gave all of that up, right in the garbage, so that we could do cash, because I had so much faith in this, right? I knew that other people needed this. I knew that this is what's really gonna make a difference. Like, sometimes money isn't everything, right? Like, can I make 6 figures a month? Okay, cool, now I know I can do that, right? But like, can you change people's lives? I'm a nurse. So like, my heart and my passion is helping people. And so my heart and my passion became REI Cash, because wholesaling's fun. You make a lot of money. You make a lot of money fast. That's not fulfilling in my heart. So this is what allowed me to only have to work a certain amount of hours, maybe an hour a day. Sometimes I'd take the day off. Why? Because I could just log in, know exactly what it is I needed to do because my team put it there, and then be done for the day. So
then we have apps. So you do have the Android Apple app. It has most of the features, not all the features. So it does need to be set up on a computer, set it all up, and then it can work from your phone. So you do have those. So, and when somebody calls you, instead of having like a forwarding number set up, it will be an orange screen with a tiger on it. So you know that it is cash calling. And then you have your company branding. You don't like our colors, that's totally okay. You can go in here and make them your own. So a lot of the videos you guys have seen are branded EDB Academy, so that you guys know, we could change it up.
yeah.
You have Cashy, which is our bot, 24/7 bot available. Cashy is inside of the software. I think it says Ask Cash. And it has all of our support documents, our YouTube videos, every single thing that we have that support is inside Cashy. That is the bot support. We do have real support as well. If you need to email us, you can. You have your email, and then we have live support 4 days a week. So we are live inside the Facebook group 4 days a week. Hop on those calls. We have people always asking our emails like, oh, you don't do one-on-one support? Those calls are basically one-on-one support.
Truly.
Like, people don't show up. So if you just show up and get your questions answered, you basically get one-on-one support. I have some friends in town, I was telling them like, yeah, on my call on Thursday morning at 10 a.m., I was like, there's maybe one person that shows up to this call, so it'll be fast. This Thursday, 3 people showed up. I was on the whole hour asking questions, and I was like, of course, because I talked shit about that. So, but come on the calls. So Monday through Wednesday, so Monday is specifically onboarding, getting like your first starter questions answered. So there's no dumb questions there. We get you start up. Monday at 7:30 p.m. Tuesday, Wednesday, 7:30 p.m. with Sarah, where you're gonna go more in depth, support questions, getting ready to run campaigns basically. And then Thursday morning at 10 a.m., the goal is that you have come on all the support calls all week, and we could run some campaigns together. Okay? And we'll literally set up a campaign. I'll help you understand mapping. I'll help you. We can literally start the campaign if we do it at the beginning of the call. And by the end of the call, we could be answering text messages. Okay? In 4 days, well, after you get your A2P set up, I will say that that's put a damper in this system.
Since we're talking about A2P.
So A2P 10 DLC, we have decided as a company that it is best to help you guys through this process. I don't know if I agree with that anymore, the way I get yelled at these days, but A2P 10 DLC is a regulation that went into place. The text message, the phone companies realized that there's a problem with spam, and so we're going to start basically tabling to get this regulated by the government. And what the text companies did, the phone companies and text agreed, instead of getting the government involved, we'll put our own regulations on this, and we will regulate our users. And so by regulating the users, they basically have the ability to make sure none of our text messages go through if we don't comply with their A2P 10 DLC regulations. So what you have to do, you have to have a website, you have to have an LLC and an EIN, because we're a business. A business has the ability to text people. So you have the LLC, EIN. We have somebody in the group who does LLC, EIN. They're featured at the top in the Facebook group. I've never personally worked with her, but she does that. If you don't know how to do that. So that's my disclaimer that I don't know how to set that up. So
Right.
the LLC EIN website. The website, we do have the terms and conditions that you need on your website, also in the featured section in the Facebook group. We're not trying to hide this or make it difficult for you. We just want you to be able to comply as fast as possible with their ridiculous terms so that we can get on to make some money.
Right.
So
We just need to, it's one of those things, it's a mental load. A2P 10 DLC is a mental load. You just need to get it out the way so you can work. And so what we did was we chose not to charge people, because a lot of the other CRMs, what they're doing is they're having like a designated A2P 10 DLC person to help, and then they're charging people to access that help. So we decided we're not going to do that, right?
you'll go through it yourself. If it doesn't get passed the first time, there is a charge, but that's actually the phone company's charge.
Yeah,
We don't get money
right.
from that. That's just their charge to run it through their AI. So that goes straight to them. We don't even see it. So that's the automation that's built in that. We're doing our best to add more and more information. So if you tell us like, hey, we're stuck on this screen, send us a screenshot or join the support calls, and our developers can try their best to add more information on that screen for the next user. One of the big things that came out, I was telling the developers, I'm like, hey, like so many people are getting denied. Why? We were looking at why. They're like, oh, they're not adding stop to end
Stop to end, yeah.
on their campaign text messages. And I'm like, who would think that? Like, I thought we all assumed that you just add stop to end on the text message. And so they're all failing. And so our developers added a screen, add stop to end. That's all it says, like, or it's like a big screen that says stop, like add unsubscribe, and it will do it for you. So now we just keep looking at why people get denied. Right now, the big one's websites. There's not much we can automate with that, so that's just coming on support calls and getting help on setting up the website. So that's the big part that we have with A2P 10 DLC. We want to help you through that process, whereas a lot of softwares have chosen to shut down on that. They've closed their comment sections in Facebook groups. They're done basically giving support. You have to pay for it, and then hopefully you get approved and you can figure it out yourself with what we're seeing. So we hope eventually our A2P 10 DLC will be perfect. You guys can go right through and get approved, but in the meantime, we're working on it with you guys.
Yeah. And so what are the next steps for REI Kash, right? And we haven't said this out loud yet, but we did sign the contract and we did get the official word that we will have skip tracing within the system in November. So you guys will be able to literally just upload your leads, and once they're uploaded, they'll be skip traced for you, put into the campaign for you. You'll be able to call, multi-dial them. You got the organization. You guys have your pipelines to move them through. So we're really continuing to push forward to make this an all-in-one system, and we highly recommend you guys get in now because and the feature's gone, right? So that is REI Kash.
Yeah. Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions?
Go ahead.
How many people have used this system in here already? I use it every day. You do? Yeah, I text them.
Hands up, hands up.
She just
Don't
showed
let
me.
the admins be the only one to get
I'm getting on board.
Do you have to have your own telephone number, or you all provide a number for you?
You choose the area code, and then you'll see what numbers are available in that area code when you go to sign up for the account.
So if you have your own, you can't, say for example, I have a business line. So you can't come into REI Kash with your own business, you have to get your own.
Yes.
How often can you change numbers if you change areas? Is there an additional cost for that? Say for example, I wanted to start out and just say using California for first 3 months to see how things go. Okay, I'm not having much success with that. I want to go to change to Florida, but I get a California exchange number to start off with first. Then I want to get, say, a Florida. Is there a extra cost if you change numbers and area code?
So each phone number is $1 per phone number, and with the A2P, are they allowing more than one number?
They are. It's a little bit of a process. So I would choose like a general number so that you don't have to change anything.
800 number? 888?
So no, we don't make 800s yet.
And you probably
you
wouldn't
don't
want
want
an
an
800 either. But also, yeah. And then as far as your business line goes, you really don't want to use that, because what happened to me when I started wholesaling, because I was on the, trying to lower funds, right? Mm-hmm. So I use my cell phone a lot, and now my cell phone's marked as scam likely. So like when I call my kids' school, they have the smart call blocker, and I can't call them because I'm a scam. So I have to call them private, and they think it's the funniest thing ever. But that's why you don't want to use your phone, because the mask that your cell phone is used to sending out is not the same as a software.
And that's why you get approved as a business.
Right.
So then it shows up as your business name.
Right.
So say for example, if you have your website set up with GoDaddy, never used it, so I don't know how to use it, I can't remember how to get logged into it. Is that acceptable with you all, as far as having that website where you have to have your help or create
You could have a website on any platform. So you could have a website on GoDaddy. The thing is you're going to have a checkbox on that website, on the consent form or the sign-up form, contact form. There has to be a checkbox that somebody is there consenting to receive messages from you.
Okay.
So you have to have the checkbox. I like to do 2 checkboxes. So one that you're, yes, this is me. The second one is, yes, I'm consenting to receive text messages and calls from you. And then below it, there's a disclaimer saying that standard messaging rates apply. And then what we've been doing to get websites passed a little faster, instead of doing a terms and conditions button, we've just been basically embedding the terms and conditions in a scrolly box on the websites. Now you have everything that you need on one page, on the contact page, and that's what they're going to look at. So we were talking to our rep at Toledo, and he basically was like, yeah, they put it through an AI, so it's all bots reading these A2P 10DLC things. And what he said was they look at the EIN documentation from for your LLC. So if there's a comma, there's a LLC, whatever it is, it needs to match that EIN form exactly, because that is how you're going to get passed. So when we didn't know this at first, and so people were putting like Ave or Avenue, but it didn't match the EIN documentation, so it had to sit in review, where then somebody had to manually go look at it. So right at the beginning of regulations, this person has thousands of people to look at, where now you have the AI. So because now we know it's bots reading it, instead of like having a whole bunch of buttons and making sure it says certain things or certain links and the links are real, but now I'm just like put it all in one spot. So if all the words and all the things are on one spot, it's happening faster. So that's the goal.
Yeah.
Thank you.
This is more so a comment. I like your story when I watched it on Elon's podcast, and I'm the father of 2 daughters, a 10-year-old and a 5-year-old. So I know what it's like trying to find your way in the world. And I remember one day I heard one of the best quotes I ever heard from Mark Cuban. He said, "Work as if there's someone else working 24 hours to take it from you." And so you explaining this to everyone, like trying to find a way out of the rat race, but also working less what we ultimately want to do, will make it a lot easier for everyone to continue to want to do this business, because you can't get burnt out.
You can. It's so easy. It's so easy to be burned out. doing this, especially with the amount of rejection you get all the time. Like the human body and the human brain was not meant to hear rejection that frequently. So like if you aren't constantly working on your mindset and if you aren't constantly finding ways to do better so that you can do more, have more space between you and your business, you're going to burn out. Yeah.
I have a question. Can you tell the difference, like why some of the VAs shouldn't know your entirety of your business? Because that's one of the great things I like that you guys are able to go ahead and filter what the VAs are going to be knowing and what they're going to be executing. Can you say like how does that help you and how does that?
I can start with my initial story. So my own business, I used to be in e-commerce, and I had a VA literally come and steal my entire business. Use my softwares, use my products, use everything the same because I taught her every single thing. She was like my right hand. Taught her everything. And it was so crazy. One of my VAs that's still with me today, she's been with me for about 8 years now, she's the one that caught it. And she was like, hey, I didn't post this. Do you know what this is? And when she sent it, I went down this rabbit hole finding out that my like right-hand VA was using everything and stole everything. So that's why I feel that way. That was a few years ago, 8 years ago when that all happened. So now, since then, I'm a little bit healed from that, but not fully. So go ahead.
Yeah. And then in the land space, like we have some people within the system who have like one person specifically that does like acquisitions, one person who does dispositions, and they don't want them getting confused or frustrated seeing everything else coming in. So they separate it out so that, you know, you have one VA that does all of your acquisitions, you have one VA that does your dispositions, you have one that's responding to all of your messages, like so they have the systems broken down based on their team's role.
And inside of the triggers, you can say, when this deal gets to the acquisitions pipeline, tag Sarah. And so then the system can notify Sarah, we have a new deal that's happening. And they're in the software every day, they know what's happening, they pick up, because you have notes in there, you have everything that you need in there, you have the ability to upload documents. I remember when we talked to Sherelle, that was a big deal. So you have the ability to upload documents in there. And so the acquisitions or disposition, I guess it's Dispo could then pick up where the last VA left off and do what they're really good at. Like, what is the jack of all trades is a master at none. So hire and train them to be very good at their job, and then that way you can just keep delivering, keep going.
Yeah.
Can you explain a little bit more about on the dispo side, the benefits to having REI Kash as it relates to doing dispo, activity?
Yeah, so like as you're dispositioning, if you have a pipeline, so this is not built into the account, but you guys can always create your own pipelines. And if you have a pipeline in there for dispositions, as you're going down, which builders you've sent your property to or which builder you sent that contact to, you can move them through the pipeline to help you stay organized. You're not double messaging a builder, right? That's one. Two, as you disposition, you have all the process to go through after that, right? You need to send your builder a contract. You need to make sure that the EMD gets put down. You need to make sure that that goes to title. Like, you need to make sure the title doesn't have any questions for you. And as you're moving through the process, there's a lot of moving parts in that 4-day span. So having that pipeline to keep all of your dispositions organized is key.
And to avoid task switching. So
Right.
we're focusing on calling all the title companies right now instead of saying, all right, this deal's here, I have to go do this. This deal's here, I gotta go do this. When it's in that pipeline, you could say, okay, these 4 deals, I need to call each title company and get them to the next phase. And it makes it so that you can be more productive with your time. And the way your brain works is every task switch that you do, you lose anywhere from 25 to 43 minutes of your time. So if you're task switching and you only have 3 hours, which is about what Sarah has, you're wasting your time.
Truly.
And so what we want to do is organize and compartmentalize as much as possible so that when you log in, it's okay, I do these 5 things, I get them done, and I'm here for less than an hour max, and then I could start calling or doing whatever.
Is there any analytics within the software?
Yes.
I skipped over that
KPIs,
part.
yeah.
I did. I skipped over it because it was, but we do have KPIs.
So there's a whole reporting area.
To start, the first contact, what type of contact was made, and Like, so that someone can know like what was successful and you know.
Yeah, and then there's some ways to also like track. So for us, initially before we were looking at skip tracing, so this is what it looks like, the KPI reporting and the Go management. So these KPIs, there's a drop down over here that you can add more numbers if you want more numbers. It's mostly on the sales side, but when you upload your list, there's a custom field that you can add. And in that custom field, like what we do when we were like testing out the software and running campaigns to determine the best skip tracing company, we would say, okay, these are from Skip Matrix, these are Propstream to Skip Matrix, and now to Cash. And so we would list it out, and the goal is every month we would see what closed, and then based off of the close, we would look at that custom field and say what was in this custom field, so that's potentially the deal finder, I don't know what to call Propstream, and then that's the skip tracing company. And but when we were testing, especially like skip tracing, so we were pulling deals from, let's say, Propstream or whatever that other
for
one was.
dollars or
Yeah.
Got a success rate.
Yeah, and so we would put the same list through multiple skip tracing and see how this works, because this is all a data game.
right.
When
So
we
we
come
want to
down to
know,
those
like,
things.
even when we were looking for skip tracing companies and like who to back us, right? Because we're only going to bring the best. We have audacity, so like we can't just bring you guys trash. So we gotta stay on brand.
REI Cash, not REI Trash.
Right, exactly. Oh, I like that. Our audacity slogan. Yeah. So, 5%. So, you know, that's something that we tracked is like, we're sending leads to multiple companies, we're getting them back, we're sending out text messages because we want to know like who actually has the best hit rate. Like your website says you're a 98%, but
Are you?
Are you a 98%? You know, same with Propstream, same with Deal Machine, you know, like when I started, that's what closed my first 6-figure month, was because everybody was pulling off Propstream, right? And I had my kids driving for dollars. So I was getting leads that everybody else wasn't, right? And then again, I was testing out skip tracing softwares. So like I'm sending to multiple different skip tracing to figure it out. And like in the beginning, it's a very big numbers game, but I wasn't tracking the data except by hand. So it was taking me like forever to figure it out on my whiteboards. So this is where now it's done for us.
It's a funny
You
story.
can really know
When
your
Sarah when we first started working together, I'd be like, okay, like how does this process work for you? And she'd send me a picture of the whiteboard and she'd be like, my dad writes this down. This happens. And I'm like, how am I supposed to help you with a whiteboard? Please tell me how I'm gonna help you an hour away with a whiteboard. Give me something I can work with.
Any more questions? No?
This is not a question, more so a testimony. Just a little bit background for Sarah. So as you know, she was, wholesaling land. Just to speak on her credibility, when I first got into land flipping, getting more information, this was almost 3 years ago. She was doing a seminar all the way in Fort Lauderdale, and literally she carried the whole entire presentation with her kids present, and she had $90,000 about to close that following month in the pipeline without REI Cash. So if you need somebody that's credible, I know she's now, working with CRMs, but she is literally like trustworthy. She's wholehearted for this. She wants to help you guys because being a mom, and I'm a mom too, is very hard. So the fact that she's creating a system, she's letting you know that she was on the other side where you guys were. Very, very hardworking. So yeah, she doesn't play games. Not like she did land flipping. It was like, hey, this is boring. Let me hop on. No, she was crushing numbers. So if you need to buy in, you definitely want to buy Tara.
And all of this this reminded me of that because I remember that time. And so she was working at like 3, 4, 5 a.m. in the morning getting this done before the kids woke up. And so inside of REI Cash, you could also schedule everything. You could schedule text messages, one-off text messages, campaigns. You could schedule everything because it is meant for the person who's getting started and ready to scale but doesn't have the time, because she did not have the time. I used to get text messages from her at the wildest times. And not like working late, like 2 a.m., midnight, like 4 a.m. Hey, I just woke up. I'm doing this. What can No, ma'am. Do not text me at that time. I don't have kids.
This is your channel. You're not allowed.
But that was the time that she had available to actually get things done. And then she took the systems in her home, once she learned the mindset of it, took them in her home, so then she could create more time for her to work on this business.
Right.
So her working hours were like 4 a.m. to 6 a.m.
Working day done.
Yeah.
Kids wake up, let's do something. Like, you know, once I was fully scaled. Before I was fully scaled, I was waking up 4 to 6 to get wholesaling done. And then I would clock into my 10-hour shift as a nurse after I already got all the kids up, dressed, out the house to school. One of them stayed home with me because he was still a baby that was breastfeeding. I worked my 10-hour shift. In between working my shift, when I got on those meetings that should have been emails, I was calling builders. Okay, as I'm sending authorizations out in my nursing job, I'm sending offers out in my text messages, and having a baby here while I'm bouncing on a ball so he'll stop crying. It was an insane time. But because of those days, I can be here now. So I know you guys are gonna be tired, but just keep going. You're only working to not work. And so when you flip your mindset, it makes you work a lot harder. If you knew that this was the hardest you ever had to work again, because once you work that hard one time, you don't have to do it again. It's never that hard again. So if you can just get through that, you can get to the other side. Yeah, we're done.
Man, I'm next after that, bro? That's wild.